Now we're going to remove the outlet and disconnect the wires. Okay, now we've got the outlet back in place, the hard wire is hooked up to it, and so this portion of hooking up our wire is done. Now we're ready to hook up the water. And to do so, you need a 1/4 inch water line and a way to connect it. There's a couple different parts available to you. A T, real simple connection for the water, or a valve connection, which is where your sink would be connected to your current water faucet line. We also highly recommend use of a water filter. There are several on the market that are more than adequate, some that are just for sediment and others for sediment and taste. To route the water line, we suggest that you route the water line obviously down through the stud cavity, and because this is an existing construction, best place to route the water line, just like you would routing an ice maker line, would be on the back wall of a cabinet. So what we're going to do right here for this installation is we're going to come down the stud cavity, drill the cabinet, route it on the back wall of the cabinet, and tie it into the sink area.
A simple connection for water can be made at a refrigerator water line supply or water faucet supply. For a refrigerator line, first turn off the water supply, cut the line, then splice it by pushing both ends in. Then push in your new water line connection at the T connector. To make the connection at your water faucet supply, we recommend using the cold water side. First, turn off the water supply, then loosen the existing connection, screw in the T fitting and tighten. Then simply insert your new water line into the T and turn on the tap.
Okay, so after completing all our holes, we're going to route the water into the cabinet area for the connection, under the dishwasher, and in through our final hole, routed through the Lazy Susan cabinet into the wall cavity. Okay. Okay, now we're ready to connect the main water and power connections to the rough-in box so we can install it in the wall. But first off, we got to get back to our styrofoam packaging and remove our connections. In this little packet that comes with the Brew Express, you have your water connection, your wire nuts, and your sheetrock screws to be able to attach the rough-in box to the stud frame. Right now, I'm going to pull out the wire nuts that we need. Then I'm going to feed the wire into the rough-in box. And make the connections needed to hook it up. It's important you make sure all your connections are tight. Then we'll stuff the panel into the box. Then you take the two final set screws that lock the junction box into the rough-in box and secure it in Then we need to route the water line, and the water line goes in through this small hole, and it's really important that this grommet stays there. This is actually sealing and protecting your 1/4 inch water line. Now if you noticed, I'm using a poly line today, but you could use a soft 1/4 inch copper as well. It's recommended either one will work. So we're going to shove it in the hole. Now we're going to take this quick connector and make the proper connection. But before I do that, I want to make sure this end is nice and clean and square cut. It's a little rigid right now, so I'm going to trim it. Okay, now we've got our connections and we're going to place the roughened box into the hole. And we're going to make sure we have a nice tight fit against the sheetrock here and here, all the way around. And you can see we have excess water line. We still have to do our final connection. First off though, we're going to take these screws that we have that are included in the kit and attach it to the stud. Okay. Now, being that it only requires to be attached to one stud, you also have to secure it to the other wall panels. To do so, there's these tabs, as you will see on this rough-in template. There's these little bendable tabs. And you'll just bend them over in place. Okay, we've just bent the tabs by finger, but to make it a nice, tight, firm fit, we'd take a pair of pliers and just crimp it ever so slightly at all connections. By doing that, so you'll get a nice firm feel all the way around. Okay, now we're ready to make our final water connection for the coffee maker in the rough-in box. To do so, we've got this quick snap fit connection, but first of all we have to shorten the water line. It's a little too long. So I'll just make a nice clean cut there. Then we've got the brass nut that goes over first. Then we have a plastic ferrule. And then a brass, it's called a sleeve support for the plastic line. Now it's not required in a copper connection because it doesn't necessarily need to be supported, but just sleeves right in like so. Then it just goes right in. And attaches, and then we just need to get a pair of pliers and tighten it up. Just like so. Okay. So now we've got our water line connected, and it's a little long. I just push it down and back into the hole, and there you be. Now we're ready to install the coffee maker. Okay, now you can see the rough-in box is safely installed. We just turned on the water, and what's really important is this label. It says to purge the water line before installing. That means we want to make sure all the air is out of the line and if there's any debris. Now to do that, and we've now turned it on, you can see there's no leaking. That's because this is a valved connection, just like an air hose. It's got a spring-loaded tip like a valve. So if I depress on this, I get water. And so what we're doing is we're going to allow the water to seep through here to make the right connection. In order to make sure there is no air in the line and it's clean before we install the coffee maker. An added feature I need to point out on the Brew Express and this rough-in box is the fact that it's got a 3-degree sloping forward slant. The reason for that is if you have an improper installation or a leak occurs by any means, your water is going to slope and come forward. It will never leak inside your wall undetectable. Pure showing is this right here. Now you can see the water. It's come down and there's no way for water to leak undetectable in the wall.
Alternately, we highly recommend that if you're installing your Brew Express on a countertop, you caulk the joint where the countertop meets the wall, as we are here. This preventative maintenance ensures that if a water leak were to occur, the water will end up on the countertop, not behind the wall.
All right, now we're ready to install the coffee maker into the rough-in box. Real simple. You have a male connection for your power, female for your water. It simply snaps in like so. Voila. Okay, so now we've got the coffee maker in the rough-in box, and we can set the clock real simply by setting the hour. Setting the minutes, and you're ready to go. Okay, now that we have installed the wall, we're going to set our finished set screws to lock it in place. Then we just need to brew 2 pots of water, and we're ready to go. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to show you how to install the Brew Express today.